you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just gonna have the opera singer just sing the whole show. Just sing all the questions and just do all the things. It'll be an operatic. Operatic? Is that the right word?
Operatic.
Operatic. Clearly I flunked second grade. And it'll be an operatic show. Maybe we should have a side podcast. There was somebody that wanted to do that the other day. They were a singer and they're like, "Yeah, I'll sing all the answers." And I'm like, "Yeah, but then I'd have to sing the questions." Yeah. Besides, what do they used to call those things? Talkies, singies, whatever they were. The Lawrence Welk. Yeah. We'll have bubbles too. We'll have all sorts of Lawrence Welk.
I remember the bubbles.
The bubbles. There you go. So anyway, guys, another show for you here after 16 years. 2,800 episodes we're up to now. We're tracking our way to 3,000 this year here in a couple months. And we need you to do something for us for a change. You know, it's great that you sit out there on the couch or, you know, I don't know what you're doing when you're watching the show. Hopefully you're doing something appropriate. And, but I mean, if the show, if you like the show that much, I mean, do whatever you want. I don't care. Go to Goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and Facebook.com/Chris Voss. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his new site that he's working on, and I don't know how new it is. We'll get into some of those details. It's new to me. That's what I'm saying, folks. And we're going to get into it with him, find out how it works and what he's doing and how it can help other people, because that's what we do on this show. Julio Gonzalez joins us from a company called Parensure. He is the founder and CEO. It's an elder care innovation platform designed to help seniors safely age in place while keeping loved ones informed and reassured. Driven by firsthand experience navigating the challenge of supporting an aging parent, he realized that the emotional and logical gaps families face when balancing independence with oversight. Parensure combines simplicity, transparency, and thoughtful design to reduce caregiver anxiety without diminishing senior autonomy. Welcome to the show. How are you, Julio?
I am awesome and so very excited to be on your show, Chris.
And we're excited to have you as well. Julio, give us your .coms, website, social media, wherever you want people to find you on the interwebs.
So as far as Parensure is concerned, it is www.parensure.com, Parensure, and pretty much Parensure on all other social media. Mm-hmm. And I can be reached at Julio, Julio, at parensure.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview, what you do there.
Sure. So my mom's 84 and she lives alone in the house where I was born, just 20 miles away from where I am today, but she is alone. What is mom doing throughout the day? I call her once a day and check in on her. And, has she had breakfast? Did she take her medication? Is she active? Those are things that, I don't see throughout the day. And when I talk to her, what I get is, I'm okay. Unless something is really wrong, mom doesn't say, I don't feel well today. Right. And I'm one of, about 63 million individuals in the sandwich generation, caring for kids and caring for parents. And it is extremely stressful.
Yeah.
So I decided to come up with a platform, an app that helps with that care, improving communications by creating a care circle around that individual. So you can extend visibility to, other siblings, in my case, my sister, friends, family, neighbors. So everyone gets a different level of visibility to what's going on, but everyone can help take care of mom. It takes a village, right? So I'm creating that village in an app.
Oh, wow. And this app will be available on the iTunes store and the Google Play.
It'll be available very soon. We are working to get final approval to get it out there. Yes.
They have legal terms now that go miles long. You have to get through.
Yeah. And that's where we're stuck. We're updating the legal terms to make sure that everyone's happy.
I remember the days when you could just make anything and put it on iTunes, and they're like, "Oh, thank God you did something."
Yeah. Now some of the AI platforms allow you to get away with that, but you can only go so far.
That's probably maybe some of the filters that they're using. I know Amazon had to come down on books because there were so many AI fake-ish sort of
absolutely
books being submitted. And I'm just like, God, if I do another book, I'm going to have to probably go through hell to get it approved and prove that it wasn't AI written by me, which is fine. I think they should prove you have to disclose you have a ghostwriter too when you write books.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so you've introduced a new term. This is why I do the show. I love to learn stuff and hear people's stories, and I learn stuff every day. But the sandwich generation, I did not know that was a thing. That's the first time I've heard it, and the definition. That's wild.
Yeah. So I'll give you another one. Silver tsunami.
Silver tsunami. Wow.
We have entered the silver tsunami. So for the next something like 8 or 10 years, we have 25,000 individuals turning 65 every single day.
Wow.
So this is something that is going to, continue to be a problem, and for those of us, again, in the sandwich generation, caring for, the generation above you and the generation behind you, it is significantly stressful.
Wow.
And the bulk of care falls on the women, the female child. It's that nurturing, and not to say that, us men can't do a good job of caring for our kids and parents, but, statistically it falls on women to care for the family. And, those individuals are, have a day job. They're taking kids to, summer camp and all kinds of events. And in the meantime, it's Mom, how are you doing? Mom, how are you doing? Calling hourly to check in on the parents. And if I can streamline that, a bit for them, and improve that communication, that in and of itself is a huge success.
My mom's she's 83 and she's doing really well with her age and taking care of herself. But she does scramble around a lot and take care of my sister in a care center who has MS and dementia, who's 7 years younger than me. We have that going on. So there's this kind of the sandwich, I don't know what you call that, your siblings you're taking care of for dementia. And, everyone's, it seems to be getting dementia these days, or Alzheimer's and old age. And it just kind of goes with the fact that we're living longer, I guess. Is that another factor in a lot of this?
It is, absolutely. And 90% of all seniors want to stay at home. And when you talk to, nurses and physicians, the best place for them to be is at home.
It is.
But again, that creates a lot of stress because now, the home needs to be, adjusted for them. And there's an entire, new market around home renovations for seniors. Oh. That in and of itself is a $5 billion market.
Wow.
Putting in handles in showers and remodeling showers so that you have some of those walk-in tubs and, expanding, doorways for wheelchairs. This entire, what's now an industry around caring for our seniors is continuing to expand. And again, with that silver tsunami, it's going to become that much bigger and more important. So the strain on all aspects, on the seniors because, they fear falling, on their, children and their caregivers because, they're having to pay attention to all different things. So that's what I'm trying to address through Parensure, and with, my mom's 84. I don't know if I mentioned that. You mentioned yours is 83. Mine's not very tech savvy. So how do you care for them in the most transparent way possible? The initial version of the app is going to be very tactile. You have to acknowledge, a notification to take your medication and things like that. But, what we've got coming, really soon are things like wearables. If you've got an iWatch, if you've got an Android watch, you can track mobility, you can track location, and more importantly, you can detect falls. Falls are one of the biggest issues with seniors. My mom fell in the kitchen in the middle of the night about 18 months ago. Wow. And she sat there for half an hour, 45 minutes until she was able to collect herself. And then she didn't call me because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So she waited till 6 and she calls me up all teary eyed. I need you to come and take me to the doctor. And it's like, why didn't you call? So with these sensors that we're going to build in and wearables and things like that, we'll have detection of falls. We'll have, mom's been, in the bathroom for, an extended period of time. Mom hasn't been very mobile today. Yeah. So all of those things, and now you bring AI in to provide some trending data. And now you have some really actionable data that you can use in the care of that senior. Because if mom on a daily basis is active, 30% of the time, and today she's only 5% active, send me an alert. Let me know, hey, mom, check in on mom. She's not very mobile today. Because again, I call my mom. Oh no, I'm fine. You haven't been moving around today. And I'm looking
your meds. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm looking at, even the possibility of building in like games, to kind of not, because you have to be very careful on a platform like this that you don't get into a medical situation, because then you have to go for FDA approval and you have to have the physicians involved. But if I can get subjective data, similar to movement, mom wins at solitaire, 60% of the time. And now, she's only winning at 10% of the time. Is mom having, is mom sad today? Is mom distracted? What's going on?
She's just not cheating like she usually does it. No, I'm just kidding.
With my mom, you never know. But and AI can do a lot of that trending and analysis, again, to paint that better picture around the senior.
See, that's what I need. I need to find out if my mom's cheating at gin rummy or whatever it is. I don't know. She plays some card game with her friend when they come over.
Don't get her rummy cube, because that gets
rummy cube.
That gets addictive.
And a lot of aging parents feel isolated. They feel alone. They don't have, you lose a lot of your friends too at that age.
Yes.
I'm in my 50s and I'm losing my friends. Guys just die. We just start double digit dying in our 50s. And then it just kind of carries into our 60s and 70s. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a war zone for me, where just every day I go on, Facebook or something, and Bob's gone. Oh, shit. Fuck, Bob was kind of healthy. He's healthier than me. I just saw some help in the phone today, and, some movie star guy who's really good looking and should be healthy, considering he's got great insurance probably. And, hopefully he eats right. He looks like he eats right. He just doesn't look like what I ate for 20 years. And, he passed away at 48. And I'm like, God, that's 10 years younger than me, man. So it's kind of like it's kind of like being a soldier crossing the planes there, and your friends keep getting taken out, but you got to keep moving. And the loneliness epidemic is a thing, and especially with seniors. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm building in reminders, and just check-ins. How are you feeling today? And that's another area where we're looking at AI. There's a couple of companies out there working on AI friends, let's put it that way, for seniors that are specifically trained, in dealing with seniors. So it's not just talking to your favorite, LLM, ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it is. It is specific to seniors, and they're trained so that if the conversation goes to a dark place, something around depression, it's designed to really get them, out of that topic and encourage them to reach out to a family member or a friend. Yeah. So the ability to integrate with tools like that is something that is absolutely on the roadmap. But then the flip side of that is to the caregiver, right? Because again, the caregiver is caring for mom and dad and working and kids. So I'm building in prompts, have you taken, 15 minutes for yourself today? Have you had water today? A self-care reminder for the caregiver, because they need as much, in their direction as the senior does, for their care. Yeah. I mean, when people come older, you lose your friends, and that's what
Yeah.
my mom is. She's either lost her friends or she's gotten sick of them. She's kind of reached that point where all women are not on my side, and she doesn't like the drama, I guess. But it's easy to isolate, especially get older, because you get in your own head. You have enough of your own stuff you're doing and focusing on. Yeah, someone needs to check on you. I mean, someone needs to check on me every now and then and be like, "Hey, are you okay, man? What's going on?" I mean, because I have really bad ADHD, so I'm like squirrel all the time, pretty much. One of those people that I think there was a show with the family show with that guy from Breaking Bad, I forget his name, and he did an ADHD thing where he went to he went looking for a tool to fix something in the house, and then 10 steps later, 10 activities later, he's fixing the car, and he's like, what started this whole road? That's me. But a lot of times too, families have parents moving in with them, and they're having to make room in the house for them. And then I'm sure when they're at work, they're having to check in and see how mom's doing. This dementia thing is really bad. The Alzheimer's, dementia, it almost seems it feels like it's inevitable. I don't know the data on it, but it just
there's so many chemicals in the food and environmentally that it is affecting us. And there's a lot of early onset dementia that I've seen, just in the people around me, which is a challenge.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter. That whole place is demented. Anyway, Twitter callback joke. You start losing an edge. I think I've lost an edge off of my brain a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't quite seem as sharp, or sometimes things don't come to me quite as quick anymore. And I'm always trying to focus that and do stuff. But we've never lived this long. 100 years ago, I think most people live past 50 or 40.
Yeah.
when they invented Social Security, like I think only 6% or 10% or something. You have to go look it up, folks. Don't quote me. But only, a small portion of the population lived to 65, let alone beyond. And so the government was like, this is a great deal for us. This is the greatest death tax ever. But now it's flipped. And so it'll kind of do some monitoring. You may have some, what are those things called? Wearables that you can use, like watches and stuff to check pulses and things.
Yeah, so the current version's got reminders, medications, appointments, so you get notifications for all of those. The first one is rise and shine, right? So I want to know that mom got up and she's already mobile, so that's going to be the first notification. Then after that, it's your medications, exercise, lunch, all of those types of activities. But the wearables are really the big news in this, because the wearables can provide so much data. And there's a lot of technology out there, not just, things like the iWatch and the Android, but there are wearable rings. There's the Fitbit type of devices, and there's new ones coming out every day. So being able to get all of that environmental data in is absolutely critical. I'm working with a vendor that has sensors that you put around the house. So if mom's not going to use a wearable, doesn't have an iPhone, you can put wearables around the house and still get sensory information. Again, trying to make it as transparent as possible, because the seniors don't want to be watched and don't necessarily want to be clicking things, on a device. Yeah. So having those environmental things just, passively, watching what's going on is something that, a lot of seniors will agree to over having a camera on them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tell my mom, keep your phone on you at all times in case you fall. I do. And I'm 58. In case I fall or get stuck somewhere, something happens. You never know. Break a leg, twist an ankle, have a heart attack. Like I said, I'm starting to see a lot of, Bob killed over from a heart attack. And you're just like, oh, wow. I'm at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get up in the middle of the night and I grab my phone because it has a flashlight. So if I need something, there I am. Even in the middle of the night, my phone is always with me. And that's something I think very generational, where, because I'm your same age, I'm 58. Our generation is much more, on a smartphone, smart device, and absolutely the younger kids. As we age, I think that as seniors, we'll be in a much better place than folks like our moms who don't want to carry something with them, don't want to have a pendant, don't want to have stuff around them.
Yeah. Do people not like that? What was that thing they used to have back in the day? I don't know if it's so popular. The
Life Alert.
Can't get up. Yeah.
Yeah. Life Alert still has a huge market, and they are developing a lot of new technologies to expand on just having the pendant on you. One of the things, I was at a conference recently, one of the things that they had was a cane, basically with a cell phone built in.
Oh, really?
So you could call for help through the cane.
Oh, wow.
So besides the pendant and things like that, the challenge the next big challenge that we're going to have is recharging, because everything needs to be charged.
Yeah.
We either need some really long lifespan batteries or, something easier for the seniors to be able to drop in and recharge. And that's one of the things I saw at the same conference. It was another ring, that gets all your health information with a mini built-in solar panel. So
really?
The charge lasts for a month.
Oh,
so
wow.
you only have to remember to recharge once a month. And, it's not a significant charge, but the little solar panel is sufficient to keep it going for the month. So we're going to start seeing a lot of, new technologies like that are going to make it that much easier for the senior to not have to remember to charge and pick up and things like that.
Even with your app, I mean, my mom knows one thing that she does every day. She charges that phone at night.
Yeah.
And, everyone kind of learned that with these phones and stuff. But yeah, anything else, I don't think if I wanted to put cameras in my mom's home that she would be,
They want their privacy.
Yeah, no one wants to, hey, every now and then you got to walk around your house naked. I do. Or in your underwear. And, no one wants to see mom doing that. Your own mom. There's sites for the other stuff.
And I think where a lot of, other, these types of platforms fail is in process, right? I'm an operations guy. My background's technology. My day job is helping, businesses address their operations. So why wouldn't you build in, if you take off your wearable, a reminder for 2 hours from now to put it back on?
Yeah.
So I'm building all of those workflows in to make it as easy as possible and as transparent as possible for that senior. And again, to keep their loved ones informed.
And, I suppose if you see mom's steps, you can see her heartbeat or some of the data off of my watch, my wearable. You're like, okay, he's moving around the house. I can see steps and heartbeats. And so he didn't pass in his sleep tonight. And, that happened to my uncle. He passed in his sleep. He actually was feeling kind of, tired, and he went and laid down for a nap and never woke up. And, maybe that's the best way to go. I don't know. Some people, the jury's still out. Well, I don't know when we're going to find out. What was that painless as we think it is? I don't know. Maybe you have a whole dream that you're having a heart attack and it's just sheer terror. I don't know. Yeah. I've just given people a whole new horror thing to think about. Good job, Chris. Way to go. It's supposed to be a show that makes people's lives better. You're just giving them nightmares. So
quick and painless. We'll stick to quick and painless.
Quick and painless. How long have you been working on this project? Was your mom then the impetus for you going, hey, I need to do something about this?
Yeah. I've been, pondering for quite some time, what to do about mom, because mom refuses to move in with anyone. She likes her independence. She wants to, she doesn't want to go to a nursing home. And mom's still good. She drives and she's very active and stuff. So she's not ready to go anywhere. But, sometimes, it'd be a lot easier to have her, in my home, for instance, and go back to that multi-generational home. So it's, what are we going to do about mom? How are we going to handle this? And, it's something that I have been, tossing around for quite a while. And I met some, creative individuals over the past 24 months, and it just woke up the creativity and say, this is something that could actually, be done, and started working on that. Development's going on for about 6 months now. I was able to turn it around pretty quickly. I got into an app accelerator program that helped me do all the ideation and, helped me go through all of the prototyping and testing to get this out as quickly as possible. And now with AI, that time frame has gotten, that much shorter. So I'm talking to friends who are now building their own platforms, and they're talking, 6 weeks to get from, initial development to a basic product. So yeah, mom was definitely the driver and helping, other individuals such as myself. And the more I talk to people, the more suggestions and recommendations I get. I had a dinner event several months ago with a number of home health care agencies, and a lady came in from a local neurodiversity chamber of commerce.
Oh, really?
And, now that it's opened up the possibility of expanding the use of the app to adult autistic children, or they're adults, but, children of the sandwich generation. So these are individuals that may need a little bit more, care and reminders and so forth. So it's opened up, potentially the entire adult neurodiverse community.
Oh, wow.
And that came from, an accidental, this lady stopping in at my dinner event.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Neurodiverse people on the spectrum, autism, et cetera, they can also, be like me sometimes, where they're just caught up in their own stuff and they're just living in their own head. And you kind of start ignoring maybe your health or maybe yourself or the world around you. I know some friends that have autistic children where, they kind of self-isolate themselves kind of for stimuli protection. Yeah. Because they'll, if they go into large crowds or anything, they get overwhelmed and they don't respond well to large crowds, kind of like how I do just about people in general. Oh God, it's another human. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's great. This is becoming a big and bigger issue. We've had more and more people on the show trying to come up with ways to deal with this, and books on how to be caregivers to your mom and dad. Yeah, it's kind of scary, some of the things you do. And I talk to my mom a lot about, hey, you should avoid this for Alzheimer's, make sure you don't get it, and, get your sleep on time. That's probably maybe a component we should talk about, measuring sleep, because to my understanding from, everything I've read and seen so far, sleep is really important for healing the brain, resetting the brain, and fighting off Alzheimer's and dementia. Because if you're, I'm 58, man. If I sleep 6 hours, I got to have a nap. And if I do that twice in a row, or if I sleep 4 hours in a row at a time, people get murdered. I mean, there's some murder that will take place. The judge says I can't do that anymore. I get one of my 6 ankle bracelets off next week. I just have got a whole chain there going on, but they charge each other, so it's nice. So no more murdering, the judge says, but
no more murdering.
You got to have that sleep, and this way you can okay, mom slept for 8 hours. It's usually a discussion. Me and my mom have it. How many hours do you sleep? How many hours do you sleep? And we're both in our old age. It seems to get harder to sleep when you get older. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm a terrible sleeper. I'll sleep for, and a lot of medications and doctors will talk to you about falling asleep. I'll fall asleep in a heartbeat. I don't have a problem falling asleep. I have a problem staying asleep. So I'll be up, in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I'm up, for 3, because who can sleep in the middle of the night after a 2-hour nap? But there have been some studies that, sleep does contribute to dementia and Alzheimer's. Those things are all, under, test conditions and stuff, and we'll eventually find out, and hopefully some medications to address those things. But yes, absolutely. It's important to have, again, that complete picture around the senior, because now you can start seeing trends and have a better conversation with a physician. And now that I'm bringing up the physician, one of the things that we're also looking at is a note taker of sorts, so that the senior can take that to their doctor's visits and not have it, listen in, but, transcribe and process some of that conversation. Because again, I asked mom, what did the doctor say? Doctor said everything's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
What else did the doctor say? So having some assistance there, a reminder to, remember to talk to the doctor about whatever, and having that synthesizing of the conversation so that I get, a real summary and not everything is okay is of tremendous value to caregivers. In my case, my mom, like I said, is 20 miles away, but I know a ton of people whose parents are across state lines, across, time zones, across the ocean, and anything that can be done to improve that communication and data flow is really critical for both parties.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you live in other states, you can't check on mom. And even if you call her, sometimes she doesn't answer and you're like, she didn't answer. And you're just kind of flying blind until she calls you back. And sometimes she gets busy with her things, and sometimes she's getting naps and she's tired. And my mom goes out and takes care of my sister and does stuff, and she tends to wear down and get tired. And then she's got to just, refill the bucket and relax. And she wants her phones. Part of it is my sister calls a lot from the care center. And so there's a certain point where she's, after 8, she's got to sleep. And, this is important, but I love the idea of being able to monitor, is she okay? Or dad's okay? Is dad moving around? My one of my friends, his dad had really bad diabetes and dementia. I think from probably the diabetes. A lot of these diseases tend to cause the brain to go. It seems like MS and maybe diabetes and other things that seems to escalate or accelerate. I don't know that's true, folks. I'm not a doctor, clearly, but it seems to be escalating and carrying on to other things, like it cascades, if it will, is what I'm trying to say. His dad was just sitting in his lazy boy, sleeping in his lazy boy. He was basically living in his lazy boy recliner. Good for him. It sounds like a great way to go anyway. But his dad wasn't moving around, and his dad was putting on this weight, making his diabetes worse. He was eating, whatever crap he was eating that was making diabetes worse. And so he would literally just sit and watch TV all day in his big lazy boy recliner, and then he'd sleep in it. Yeah, you definitely want to be like, is he moving around? Is his heartbeat? What's going on there?
And it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because, especially with diabetes, and that's a whole other epidemic, lack of mobility creates, added weight. The added weight, is exacerbated by the diabetes, and it becomes this just, vicious cycle, and there's almost no getting out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we go out, give people a pitch out on how to get involved with what you're doing there, how to find out more. I don't know if you've got subscriptions at your website where you send out newsletters and things like that, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm going to send them. If you go to www.parensure.com, I've got a form at the bottom of the website you can fill out, and you will get all the information on Parensure as it becomes available. As I mentioned earlier, we are imminently going to be available on the App Store, both Apple and Android or Chrome. Right now, the app is going to be free. We need to get as many testers as possible. So anybody that gets in early will basically have lifetime free access.
Oh, wow.
And when we turn on the subscription, then, anybody new will have to subscribe, but all early subscribers will remain free, and that is for the assistance in testing. So there's going to be a lot of great capabilities coming out very quickly. So early subscribers, go ahead and sign up. We'll get you the information, and again, as soon as any new news is out, we'll send it out to everybody to do updates.
Thank you very much for coming to the show, Julio, and thanks for working on this issue. We want our parents to stay around for a long time. I want my mom to live to 100. She hates it when I say that, but it's true. I mean, I'd rather ever hear than not. And yeah, and you want them to enjoy their health. My mom's got some sort of insurance that is supposed to provide nurses. She wants to be in her home when she gets older, and she sees the horror show that these care centers are in, like my sister. I mean, it's just they've all been bought out by big corporations, and it's a real freaking nightmare. They've leaned out the staff. They leaned out the services. They, stack people in rooms like military dormitories. It's just crazy. And, these people lived a great life. They did great things with their lives. And to kind of put them in this kind of throwaway bin situation. It's so hard. And
the cost kills any legacy that they may want to leave to their family members. I mean, assisted living is expensive.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to help keep our parents, healthy at home, it is in to everyone's benefit.
I think that's why a lot of people have their parents move in with them so they can care for them, because I mean, the rooms are $5,000 to $6,000 a pop. And sometimes you're sharing that room. My sister's been in care centers for 10, 15 years, maybe longer. And a lot of times she shared a room with someone else. And I'm just like, we're paying $5,000 for a room that is being shared with someone else. I mean, this could buy a mansion in real life. My sister could be living in, I don't know, $1 million home for the 2 types of whatever here. I don't know. But it's crazy, the costs of taking care. And so being able to, give mom or dad their freedom as long as they can, to where they can be in their home, where they're comfortable, where they feel safe.
Absolutely.
No one wants to die in a hospital, I don't think. Is there anybody that sits around and is like, I'm just looking so forward to dying in a hospital filled with everything, and it's freezing cold and the food is shit, and I don't know any of these people.
And all the stuff you can pick up in a hospital too, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's part of keeping it cold, minimizing any kind of disease spread.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing. They always give me those aprons to wear whenever I go in the hospital, and like paper thin. It's like wearing just paper. So did you guys just take a bunch of 8x15 paper and tape it together and put it on me? And it has no warming ability whatsoever. It's not made for warm. And it's just got a big hole for the bottom half of your body below it. And, so there's it's not designed for, you don't wear this to Everest, folks. Let's put it that way.
No,
maybe someone should try that. They should try setting a record of wearing a medical gown to top of Everest. That'd be a thing. I'll get you free beers for life.
Instead of naked and afraid, a hospital apron and afraid.
Afraid. Yeah, because that frostbite is going to get nippy there, boys.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So thank you very much, Julio, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chris, for having me on the show.
And sign up, folks, right away so you can get in on that testing phase and help them do the test thing. I know iPhone has that. What is that test service that you can sign up with?
Test Flight. Yeah.
Test Flight. Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, man. A great show. This